we've got a trio of space weather events to tell you about. It's essentially a cosmic coincidence, I guess you can call it. First of all, I'm going to tell you about the changing seasons. On March 20th at 22:45 GMT, the equinox is upon us. So in the northern hemisphere, officially spring begins. Across the southern hemisphere, the autumnal equinox, or autumn, begins. But what's interesting to note, the night and the day length will be exactly 12 hours across the globe at that very moment. So there you have it. That's part one. Part two, we have a solar eclipse to tell you about. This occurs on Friday as the moon comes in between the sun and casts a shadow on the earth. So if you're across portions of Europe and also northern Africa on into Southwest Asia. Totality generally less than 60% if you're across North Africa and Southwest Asia, 60 to 80% in southern and central Europe. Get up into the northern tier of Europe, into Scandinavia, 80 to 99% of totality. In fact, outside at around 9:31 GMT on Friday, about 87% of totality when it comes to the solar eclipse in London. So that's the place to be. But you see the perspective, the time zones as it stretches on from the UK and portions of, say, northern Germany, eventually across the Baltics. That is the theme there for Friday morning across that part of the world. And also a supermoon to tell you about that occurs from Thursday on into Friday. And what's unique about this particular supermoon, of course, we see it several times a year, but this particular one, a supermoon in the new phase. So you won't get to see it, but it will have an impact on the solar eclipse itself as far as the duration, the longevity. So if you can get outside and take a look safely, we highly recommend you do so.
A Cincinnati woman is under arrest accused of decapitating her 3-month-old daughter. Authorities say Deasia Watkins had been hospitalized for psychiatric problems and was ordered by a court to stay away from her baby. However, prosecutors say an aunt who was caring for the baby had apparently let Watkins move in.
You have to be sick, and no other reason for it. You just got to be sick to do something like that.
We're trying to do right by this child. We need to bring some justice for this baby.
Can you imagine cutting the head off of a young baby? It's terrible.
Watkins is charged with aggravated murder. Prosecutors say she is under guard at a hospital. Sandy Kozel, The Associated Press.
Costa Rica's Turrialba volcano has roared back to life with at least 4 explosions, sending clouds of gas and ash 3,300 feet into the air. It was Turrialba's strongest eruption in almost 20 years, and people were evacuated within a mile radius of the volcano. Turrialba is only 30 miles from Costa Rica's capital of San Jose, where one witness said it was, quote, raining ash. The clouds of ash forced officials to shut down the Juan Santa Maria International Airport in San Jose, affecting some flights to and from the United States. I'm Matt Sampson, The Weather Channel.
Welcome back to The Ed Show. I'm coming to you live from Miami tonight, where we're working on a climate change series, because here in the state of Florida, there says the state has only about a year's worth of water left in its reservoirs. The state would need 11 trillion gallons of water to recover from this drought. With less precipitation and depleting resources, California's, they are running low on options.
California is ground zero for drought.
Empty lakes and riverbeds, fruit orchards left to wither and die.
Its worst drought in over 1,200 years.
There is no state that is worse off than this state.
More than 58% of California is in exceptional drought.
California is so water squeezed right now that voluntary conservation is not enough.
We will see increasing
snowpack provides the irrigation for the Central Valley.
Without the snowmelt, without the water running into the San Joaquin River, it's running dry.
Emergency water reserves from which we have been borrowing are now reaching the critical stage.
Our landowners will have to pull very heavily on the groundwater.
We are totally reliant right now on whatever flows underneath our feet.
This is a state that is feeling very much the effects of climate change.
It's a crisis with ripple effects across the entire nation.
You can't put your head in the sand.
Jay Family Eddy is a professor of Earth System Science at the University of California and senior water scientist at NASA's Jet Propulsion Lab. Professor, great to have you with us tonight. The story tells a very dire situation. What has to happen here, Professor?
Well, and you're right. I think your setup was excellent and really painted the complete picture of what's happening in California with the reservoirs at very low levels and the groundwater being depleted. And so my personal opinion about what needs to happen is that we need to look at the situation holistically. How much surface water, how much groundwater we have. This landmark groundwater legislation that was recently passed. That will help us in the long run, but I think in the short run, we're going to have. This is my personal opinion. The sorts of things that work well, first and foremost, are conservation and efficiency, and unfortunately, the voluntary nature of that hasn't been working so well. So perhaps we have to move to mandatory restrictions.
Well, Professor, if you've only got 1 year of drinking water remaining, I mean, that is in the world's 8th largest economy. That's almost hard to comprehend.
It's really, you're right, Ed. I mean, it's really difficult to wrap your brain around. But remember, that's a year of water in our reservoirs, okay? But we still have groundwater. The problem is that if we move to 100% reliance on groundwater, we will be depleting a limited and finite supply at an extremely unprecedented rapid clip, and that would really leave us vulnerable to future drought, which I think we can expect.
What role does NASA play in this, beyond the research?
Beyond the research, we are working towards more applications and getting this information into the hands of water managers and into the hands of farmers and the U.S. Drought Monitor and the flood prediction agencies. So that's more on the application side. Yeah. We're working very hard these days on trying to really target what we can do for agriculture, because that's where we use all
those rumors laid to rest, Matthew.
Yes, they were all apparently unfounded, at least on the face of it, which is kind of what we expected. Vladimir Putin has been out of the public eye since March the 5th, sparking all sorts of speculation about his whereabouts, about what's wrong with him, speculation that he could have been ill, sometimes seriously ill, according to some of the rumours, speculation that he'd been out of the country to attend the birth of his love child. That allegation was categorically denied, along with the illness, by the Kremlin. Also, dark rumours that he has been a victim of a palace coup in which various factions in the Kremlin vying for power had ousted him. But it seems at the moment he's now started this meeting with the president of Kyrgyzstan. He's late for it. I'll say that, a couple of hours late, it seems, given compared to what we thought he was when we thought he was going to arrive. But he seems in fine fettle. He walked in with the president of Kyrgyzstan. He's making some remarks about the Kyrgyz economy, not specifically, as far as I'm aware at this point, addressing this absence. And that's, of course, the big question. We know that he's alive now, at least, but we don't know where he's been for the past 11 days. And there's still a big question mark, of course, hanging over that, Max.
In terms of what we can learn from these pictures, not very much, I guess, because we've only just had them in and we're just looking at the images come in to us now. But it is very unusual, isn't it, for him not to appear for such a long period of time, because he's always on the state media.
He is. I mean, almost every day the bulletin is led with what Vladimir Putin is doing or what he's saying. He's such a central figure when it comes to Russia and its running. And I think the sort of hysteria almost of his absence is an indication of just how dependent Russia is for its stability on the presence, the physical presence of Vladimir Putin. I've just had some remarks. He's talking to the gathered press there, just very casually. Just had some remarks that have been translated. He's saying he's not going to explain the reasons for his absence. This is a quote. He says, "It would be boring without gossip." And so Vladimir Putin making light of the fact that he has been absent for so long.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. This is End Time Headlines. This is the voice and founder of End Time Headlines, Ricky Scaparo. I want to give you a breaking news update, guys, regarding Russia and Putin. Today is Monday, March 16th. It's approximately 1:48 p.m. Eastern, and we're now receiving reports that indicate that Putin has reemerged after a short time of disappearance. If you remember our last update, we reported that he was not seen. He kind of went into hiding, and there was a lot of speculation that he was dead. But now it appears that Putin is not dead. He has reemerged, and what's even more alarming is after this disappearance has now suddenly ordered thousands of Russian troops to be put on alert Monday morning after ordering a, quote, surprise large-scale military drill to test the armed forces' readiness to counter challenges in the country's north, and particularly in the Arctic. Again, the order to go into battle readiness mode was given to the Northern Fleet, paratroopers and units of the Western Military District at a.m. Moscow time by the Commander-in-Chief. According to reports, there were some 38,000 troops, 41 ships, 15 submarines, and 110 jets and choppers that will be taking place in the drills, which focused on boosting Russia's military presence in the Arctic and test how quickly special operations forces can be moved along large distances. Again, quote, new military challenges and threats demand further boost of the military capabilities of armed forces, and special attention is being paid to the condition of the newly set up strategic command in the north. Again, this is coming from the Russian defense minister on Monday, today. Now, what's interesting about this is we received, I reported on this earlier today as well. We received a report. Let me just go to our homepage. You're looking at our main website at endtimeheadlines.org. That's where I'm reading you this headline. But there was a headline that we posted earlier this morning. Let me see if I can scroll down and find this. If not, we'll move on. Here it is. It says there was a headline that we posted about Russia is prepared or was prepared to raise nuclear readiness over Crimea. There was reports that came out, according to several sources, that there was that we could have seen a nuclear confrontation in 2014 involving Russia and Ukraine. And reports indicated that Russia was ready to bring its nuclear weapons into a state of alert during last year's tensions over the Crimean Peninsula and overthrow of Ukraine's president. So again, we're learning reports of this. So one has to wonder what is going on now with a sudden disappearance. Was Putin getting with his war council? Were they making preparations for something? And I'm just going to go over here real quick to show you again. 38,000 troops, 41 ships, 15 submarines, 110 jets and choppers, all taking part in this huge surprise military drill that's taking place in the Arctic at the reappearance of Russian President Vladimir Putin. So again, war drums seem to be pounding once again from the bear. This is, again, I wanted to give you this update, guys. This is the End Time Headlines breaking news alert regarding Russia. Again, when we get further information on this, I'll give it to you when it comes in. Again, Jesus said, wars and rumors of wars, and that's where we're at, guys. So keep your eyes on the bear, and it's going to be interesting to see what unfolds. And again, we're 4 days away from a full solar eclipse on March 20th. So it's going to be interesting to see what takes place. Remember Luke 21:28, Jesus said, when you begin to see these things coming to pass, hold up your heads, for your redemption is drawing near. God bless you guys.